Good evening and welcome to Spring Global on Western Spring Television. Now the headlines. APC's Nasir Idris has been declared winner of the 2023 governorship election in Kebbi State. Power struggle between Sudan's army and paramilitary force has seen more than 50 civilians reported dead. Former Indian politician convicted of kidnapping has been shot dead live on TV along with his brother. My name is Okwayemuni. The All Progressives Congress APC candidate Nasir Idris has been declared the winner of the 2023 governorship election in Kebbi State. Idris was declared with the winner today by the returning officer for Kebbi State, Yusuf Saidu, in Brindin Kebbi, the state capital. Saidu said Idris polled a total of 409,225 votes to beat his close rival of the People's Democratic Party, Aminu Bande, who garnered 360,940 votes. In Adamawa State, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has said that the announcement made by the resident electoral commissioner, Yunusa Ari, declaring Aisha Dahiru winner of the governorship election is null and void. In a brief thread of tweets today, the electoral umpire, through its National Commissioner, Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye, said the election process was clearly not concluded before the announcement was made. Okoye added that the action of a REC is a usurpation of the power of the returning officer. He consequently stressed that following the action, the collation of results of a supplementary election has now been suspended. In Sokoto State, Governor Aminu Tambuwal has been declared the winner of the Sokoto South Senatorial District election. Tambuwal, a two-time governor and candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, emerged winner with a total of 100,860 votes. With a vote margin of 4,976, he defeated his closest rival of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and incumbent Senator Abdullahi Tambuwal, who scored 95,884 votes. The returning officer, Abubakar Bagodo, announced the results today at the Independent National Electoral Commission office in Bodinga local government area of the state. Earlier, Tambuwal picked the PDP presidential form before he announced his withdrawal on the day of the primary for Atiku Abubakar.
By Tambuwal, of the People's Democratic Party, that is satisfied the requirement of the law, is hereby declared the winner.
Outside Nigeria, a power struggle between Sudan's army and a notorious paramilitary force has rocked the country, with more than 50 civilians reported dead. Residents dodged gunfire in the capital, Khartoum, as rival forces battled over the presidential palace, state TV, and army headquarters. A doctors' organization said 25 people, including 17 civilians, have died in the city. The clashes erupted after tensions over a proposed transition to civilian rule. Both the army and its opponents, the Rapid Support Forces, claimed they had control of the airport and other key sites in Khartoum, where fighting continued overnight. The United Nations has condemned the killing of 3 World Food Programme WFP employees during fighting in Sudan, saying the 3 died while carrying out their duties. The 3 WFP workers died on Saturday after Rapid Support Forces, paramilitaries, and the armed forces exchanged fire at a military base in Kakabia in the west of the country. The UN Special Representative in Sudan, Volker Perthes, said civilians and humanitarian workers are not a target. He added that he was extremely appalled by reports of projectiles hitting UN and other humanitarian premises, as well as reports of looting of UN and other humanitarian premises in several locations in Darfur. Perthes maintains that the recurring acts of violence disrupt the delivery of life-saving assistance and must end. Elsewhere, a former Indian politician convicted of kidnapping has been shot dead live on TV, along with his brother. Atiq Ahmed, who was under police escort, was talking to reporters when a gun was put close to his head in Prayagraj. Ahmed's teenage son was shot dead by police days earlier. Dozens of cases, including kidnapping, murder, and extortion, were registered against Atiq Ahmed over the past 2 decades, while a local court had sentenced him and 2 others to life in jail in March this year in a kidnapping case. Ahmed had previously claimed there was a threat to his own life from the police. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has vowed to boost security as ministers from overseas visit the country after an apparent smoke bomb was thrown at him. He was evacuated unharmed on Saturday from a public event, with witnesses describing a person throwing an object followed by smoke and a loud bang. Japan hosts ministers from the world's 7 richest nations today. Mr. Kishida, however, maintains that the country must maximize its efforts on security. He added that it was unforgivable such a violent act was committed during an election campaign. Similarly, today, police said a 24-year-old suspect detained at the scene had been carrying a knife and a possible second explosive device. In another development, Japan's army found the wreckage and 5 bodies today during a deep-sea search for crew on board a helicopter that disappeared from radar earlier this month. The aircraft, with 10 people on board, had been on an investigation mission when it went missing on April 6th in what the Ground Self-Defense Force GSDF described as an aerial accident. 2 pilots, 2 mechanics, and 6 crew members were on board the UH-60JA, including a GSDF general from the 8th Division. Army spokesman said the newly found wreckage appeared to be from the missing helicopter, but there were no details yet on the identities of the bodies retrieved. Coast Guard rescuers had already discovered several pieces of debris that appeared to be from the helicopter, including a door, a snapped blade, and a yellow life raft that was still packed inside a bag. In other news, South Korea's military has fired warning shots to expel a North Korean vessel that crossed the 2 countries' disputed maritime border. The South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff said today that it fired warning shots and broadcast warnings to turn back at a North Korean patrol boat that breached the northern limits line. The JCS said in a statement that the military maintains decisive battle posture while monitoring the enemy's movements in preparation for potential provocations regarding new violations by North Korean patrol boats. The JCS added that during the operations, a South Korean patrol ship came into minor contact with a nearby Chinese fishing vessel due to bad visibility, resulting in no safety issues but slight injuries among the South Korean crew. The reported North Korean incursion came as tension flared over Pyongyang's stepped-up military activities in recent weeks, including Friday's test of a new solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile, which experts say would facilitate missile launches with little warning. You're watching Spring Global on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
Iconic African presents the narrative of a man destined to exert an imperishable global influence in Western education. His was a story of a freeborn, captured and sold into slavery. He was born in Oshogun, a native Yoruba village near Iseyin in Okeogun axis of southwest Nigeria. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was the foundation student of Fora Bay College, Sierra Leone, the foremost university where the pioneer set of native Africans were educated. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's greatest contribution to humanity was his translation of the Holy Bible into the Yoruba language. The man who authored the Yoruba dictionary was also credited for the translation of English classic hymns into Yoruba and Ekwere languages. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's private residence in Badagry, incidentally the first story building in Nigeria, is an Akaba museum dedicated to the memory of Africa's first bishop. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ajayi Crowther as a watershed character in history. Ahmadu Bello, a Prince Royal, was born 6th of December 1910 at Raba Village, Sokoto, northwestern Nigeria. His father was a district head and heir apparent to the Sultanate throne from the house of Usmanu Danfodio, a religious and social reformer who brought the Habib dynasty under the Fulani Caliphate in the beginning of the 19th century. Ahmadu Bello raised the bar of political consciousness and participation when, in 1944, he engineered the establishment of the Northern People's Congress (NPC) as the first political party in northern Nigeria and the rallying point for politicians in the region before independence. History will not forget Ahmadu Bello for his charisma and political sagacity, which provided easy passage for his kinsmen to assume political and administrative positions in Nigeria's post-independence era. The distinguished elder statesman and Sardauna of Sokoto has his face on his country's 200 naira currency as a mark of honor to one of the architects of Nigeria's independence. Western Spring Television identifies Ahmadu Bello as a watershed character in history. James Ajibolaige was a lawyer who obtained his first degree in classics from Nigeria's premier University of Ibadan. Born September 13, 1930, the orator and the polyglot spoke impeccable English, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba languages. His fine diction placed him among classical orators and public speakers like Cicero, the Roman orator. This attribute earned him the prefix Cicero of Esauke. He authored Kaduna Boy, an autobiography, The Teenage Diary, Constitution, and the People, among 6 other books. Bolaige was a colorful politician, elected governor of Oyo State in 1979 and appointed a federal minister in 1999. He was a pioneer founder of Afenifere, the Yoruba social, cultural, and political group. He invested his political sagacity to propel the group to the height of political leadership and decision-making in the southwest of Nigeria. Bolaige was assassinated on the 23rd December 2001. His murderers are yet to be apprehended till today. Western Spring Television identifies Bolaige as a watershed character in history.
Welcome back on Spring Global on Western Spring Television. Now the news continues. 16 people are dead and 9 others injured after a fire at a residential building in Dubai. The blaze happened in the Al Ras area, one of the oldest parts of Dubai that is home to many migrant workers and traders. According to reports, the fire broke out on the 4th floor of a 5-story building. Dubai Civil Defense said it was caused by lack of compliance with building security and safety requirements. Dubai Civil Defense told journalists that an investigation into the deadly blaze was underway, adding that among the dead are 4 Indian and 3 Pakistani nationals. New Mexico police officers realized they were at the wrong address just moments before the front door opened and fatally shot the armed homeowner, then exchanged gunfire with his wife. This is according to newly released body camera video of an April 5 shooting. 52-year-old Robert Dodson was killed in Farmington, a city of 47,000 people in the southwestern U.S. state, after officers on their way to a domestic violence call went to the wrong address. Police Chief Stephen Epp said in a statement, apologized for the incident and expressed condolence to the family of the deceased. The video shows one officer knocking 3 times on a door and announced that police are present. But while they wait, 2 officers discussed whether they have the correct address and chuckle when they realize a mistake has been made. Meanwhile, police have not released the names of the officers involved, who have been placed on paid leave while the state police investigate the incident. At least 20 people were shot and wounded late Saturday at a Sweet 16 birthday party in the southern U.S. state of Alabama. According to reports, heavy police activity and crime scene tape around a building in Dadeville, Alabama, where it said white sheets could be seen covering parts of the floor. It was gathered that during a preliminary investigation, police and sheriff's office investigators suspected that an altercation led to the shooting at the teen's birthday party at around 10:30 p.m. on Saturday. The United States, a country of around 330 million people, is awash with some 400 million guns, and deadly mass shootings are a regular occurrence. Police late Saturday confirmed 2 people were killed and 4 others wounded in a shooting in Louisville, Kentucky, the same city where a gunman slaughtered 5 people at a bank last Monday. Ukraine's military has reported bloody battles unprecedented in recent decades in the eastern city of Bakhmut as the death toll from a Russian attack on residential buildings in nearby Sloviansk climbed to 11. The reported battles came as the Russian Defense Ministry said fighters from its Wagner mercenary group had captured 2 more areas of Bakhmut. Wagner has spearheaded Russia's attempt to take the city, the main target of Russia's offensive in eastern Ukraine since last summer. The fight has been the longest and deadliest battle of the war for both sides. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry said in a briefing that Wagner assault units have successfully advanced, capturing 2 districts on the northern and southern outskirts of the city. It added that Russian army paratroop units were supporting the claimed advance by holding back Ukrainian forces on the flanks. Thousands of Christians filled Jerusalem's old city on Saturday for an important Orthodox Easter ritual, despite restrictions by Israeli police. The Holy Fire ceremony drew huge crowds to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in occupied East Jerusalem, where Israeli police control security. It is located on the site where Christians believe Jesus was crucified and buried. Police had limited attendance to 1,800 people inside and 1,200 outside, citing safety reasons, but church leaders urged Christians to ignore restrictions and criticized the police presence at the event. The Holy Fire ritual can be traced back centuries and typically takes place amidst packed crowds in the holiest site in Christianity. Nurses in Britain are prepared to strike until Christmas if they cannot reach a deal with the government on pay. Leader of the country's main nursing union, Pat Cullen, said today that members of the Royal College of Nursing, RCN, would strike at the end of April and the beginning of May before holding a ballot and continuing the strike to the end of the year. Members of the union rejected the government pay offer on Friday and immediately announced an escalation in strike action. Hopes had been high that nurses in England would accept the 5% pay offer brokered by the RCN and the government in March. But after putting the offer to its members, the RCN said 54% turned it down. RCN members will work out for 48 hours from 8 p.m. on April 30th, with the action extended to staff in emergency departments, intensive care and cancer care units for the first time.
Well, it's interesting that it's taken the Health Secretary days to respond to my letter, and I get it half an hour before I'm coming on your programme. So I wonder why, first of all. And that's not about being disrespectful to me. It's been disrespectful to over 500,000 nurses that I represent.
What has he said, though?
In fact, it says very little, Laura. It actually says very little. He has spent longer writing in The Sun today than he has responding to our 500,000 nurses. And what does it say? It says that he believes the bonus that they have put on the table is enough, and nurses should accept that and continue to work in the high-risk areas that they're working with the understaffing that they've got. No, our nurses will absolutely not do that. We've strike action for the end of this month, beginning of May, and then we will move immediately to ballot our members. And if that ballot is successful, it will mean further strike action right up until Christmas. Now, the person that can stop that, and the people that can stop that, is Steve Barclay and the ministers, and indeed the Prime Minister. And I would urge them again today that add to the money that they've put on the table, respect nursing, respect the health service, and let's get a resolution.
And out of sports, Joe Joyce declared his journey will continue after his world title ambitions were rocked by a shock-first career defeat against Zhilei Zhang. The British heavyweight suffered a sixth-round technical knockout at London's Copper Box Arena on Saturday. Referee Owen Foster stopped the fight as Joyce struggled with a swollen eye, having suffered repeatedly against the hard-hitting of China's Zhang. Joyce's swollen eye, inspected twice by the ringside doctor, was hindering his sight by the time Foster called a halt. In addition to his undefeated record, Joyce's defeat has also cost him his WBO interim belt and his status as mandatory challenger for unified world champion Alexander Usyk's WBO title.
It's disappointing I've had my loss, but I'll be back. The journey will continue. It looks like I've got a Terminator eye now, but just unfortunate, but I will be back. I thought I was doing well in there, and I have to watch the tape back and see where I can improve and go again for next time. I was okay. I could carry on even now, but it's it's just disappointing. Yeah, and that's what happens when you take risks. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, which is annoying. I thought I'd breeze through a victory here, and it's just disappointing that I didn't. But he could get away from his left hand, got nailed again and again, which is on the eye. But it's I'll go and review the stuff and come back stronger.
Chelsea booked their place in the Women's FA Cup final with a narrow victory over Aston Villa as they look to win the trophy for the third year in a row. Sam Kerr headed in the winner at the back post in the second half, but there were chances for both sides throughout an evenly matched encounter at Bescott Stadium. First-time semi-finalist Villa almost took the lead when Rachel Daly's effort was blocked by defender Magdalena Eriksson before Chelsea's Eve Perisic sliced a golden opportunity over the bar on the brink of half-time. Arsenal missed a penalty and threw away a second goal lead as they drew at West Ham in a blow to their hopes of winning the Premier League. A close-range finish from Gabriel Jesus and Martin Odegaard's volley put the visitors 2-0 ahead inside the opening 10 minutes at London Stadium as they looked to be cruising to the victory. But just as they did in the 2-2 draw at Liverpool last Sunday, Mikel Arteta's side could not hold on to the advantage and dropped valuable points in the title battle with Manchester City. Arsenal began the weekend 6 points clear of City, but that has now been cut to 4 after Pep Guardiola's side won 3-1 at home against Leicester on Saturday. The Gunners have 7 matches left and play Southampton at home on Friday before City, who have a game in hand, entertain Arsenal at Etihad Stadium on 26 April. Before we end the Spring Global, here is a recap of our top stories. The All Progressives Congress APC candidate Nasiru Idris has been declared the winner of the 2023 governorship election in Kebbi State. Outside Nigeria, a power struggle between Sudan's army and a notorious paramilitary force has rocked the country, with more than 50 civilians reported dead. A former Indian politician convicted of kidnapping has been shot dead live on TV along with his brother. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. I am Okpayemuni. Thanks for watching.